The main thing I want to point out is the intermediate era. The transformation from non-writing to writing did not take place suddenly overnight. It is not a very drastic change. There is a phase intermediate to that, that is called as proto-history. So proto-history is a period of transition from pre-history to history. Now let us understand what proto-history means and what it contains. Proto-history actually is a gap between history and prehistory. And there are different reasons for which a certain era could be called as proto-history. The most famous example is Harappa, right? Harappa is proto-history. Can anybody tell me why? Correct. So it had the script, but it is not deciphered. Now you see, these things are so interesting and so random. So you have long prehistory, then you have proto-history, जहाँ पे you have Harappa, and later you have history. So one reason why you call something as proto-history is that the script is present but not deciphered. The second reason could be we have literature available to us, but it was not written down by the contemporary people. Like Vedas. Vedas were composed for over 1000 years, but they were memorized and passed on from generation to generation with the oral culture. There was strict injunction against writing it down. It is much later, hundreds of years later, that they were written down. So, because the Vedic people did not know writing, they had no need of writing. So, that kind of era also is called as proto history. We have literature available to us today, but at that time it was not written down. So, we have the oral culture. Later written down. There is a third possibility also. That is also very interesting, for which I will give you one European example. You know Roman Empire. So Roman Empire was continuously battered by invasion of Germanic tribes from north. Germany से tribes बार बार हमला करते थे. These tribes were quite backward, quite barbaric, quite vicious, quite uncultured, uncouth, as the Romans would call them. And Romans were quite angry. They had put a lot of legions to the north to defend their territory from invading barbarians. And about them, Romans have written who is their head, who is their chief, what do they eat, what do they do, their observations of the culture. Romans have written everything. The tribes of Germanic region themselves have not written down anything. So the Germanic tribes don't know writing, they don't do writing, but some external observer for them, like the Romans, are writing about them in the contemporary era. So Romans are in historic age, but at the very same time, the Germanic tribes are in protohistoric age. Understood? So, in the same continent of Europe, you have historic and protohistoric ages simultaneously existing because it is a culture specific thing. Romans have graduated into historic age because they can write, but Germans have not. Romans are writing about them. So, instead of becoming prehistoric, they became protohistoric. The Germans, Germanic tribes. So, external records, external contemporary records. These are the three reasons because of which you have a term called as proto-history. So in our map, what you will have, यहाँ पे you have Vedic era, again proto, our timeline. Now imagine one thing. अब तक हमने क्या सोचा है? That proto-history is between his pre and history transition phase. Now imagine a future, distant future, maybe 10 years down the lane, maybe 50 years down the lane. Someday we will decipher Harappan script, no doubt. If not today, tomorrow. If not tomorrow, day after, it will happen. After it happens, we'll have to reclassify Harappa from proto-history into history. Now see what is happening. Once you do that, you have prehistory, history, proto-history, and history. Is it linear? No. So this thought of human civilization grows linearly. We are better than yesterday, will become better tomorrow than today. The idea of progress is a very European idea. We don't think that way. Reality also is not that way. We can go back in time also. And it is true at family level, it is not a guarantee that a son or daughter would earn more than father. The sampathic sthiti of family can go down in some generation also. It is not a linear progress every generation. Kya guarantee hai? It is also not a guarantee that from village my father came to city, so now we are urban. It might happen I go back to village one day. So from rural to urban, from poor to rich, from undeveloped to developed, from backward to progressive, from prehistory to history. ये कोई linear line थोड़ी है. So a linear progress is a very wrong notion, and that can be proven very easily. Entire society can become historic, then go back to proto history. But not writing. Now next question. Not writing. Does it mean going backwards? No. That also is a wrong notion. If somebody knows how to write, doesn't mean they are more akalmand or better technologically. It may happen largely, but it's not a guarantee. So we have to be very careful of the value judgment associated with such notions of pre and proto and other things. UPSC will not be asking these things, but I wanted to open up this time because यहाँ पे I get a chance to talk about the idea of time very properly. History की progress is not guaranteed. You have to fight for it.